What is going on, everybody? So today I'm doing the misdeed of pointing out some OG Steam Deck flaws from as far as I know it with my original Steam Deck for everyone's amusement, because I know for the most part a lot of people are just going to disagree with these long-lasting gripes that I've had with the Steam Deck and the Steam platform since the Steam Deck released, and for more than 10 years on the Steam platform. But for the most part, the Steam platform's issues reflect on Steam Deck itself, since it uses Steam as an operating system. And these are the issues that I had on the Steam Deck since day zero, that Valve hasn't fixed or sometimes not even addressed. And these are also the reasons why I think the ROG Ally is just a lot more dockable in certain ways. I recently tried playing a few games on the Steam Deck docked for the first time in a while. I haven't gotten any new monitors or TVs, so everything in my setup is pretty much the same. But because of these specific 10 issues I had personally on my original Steam Deck while trying to play docked, I ended up just making a video instead of playing the actual system, because I was just so frustrated and disappointed after about 2 hours of trying to fix things. If it were up to me, I would simply just play my ROG Ally and completely desert this device. But I still hold a great deal of respect to Valve and Steam Deck as a platform. And I still honestly have hope in the platform in its entirety and the future for Steam Deck, especially since the OLED Steam Deck came out and addressed a lot of issues, but the OLED Steam Deck did not address any of the issues I'm going to point out today. So I thought I would send out one more SOS for these problems to be fixed, hopefully one day. Because 2 hours of tinkering with the audio while docked and still not getting anything fixed and not being able to play my games docked with audio has been a problem that I've had since day one. And call me a Linux noob, but the usual fixes I had just aren't working anymore. So here are the 10 issues Valve hasn't fixed on the Steam Deck since day zero. Now, number one is something that Valve actually addressed, and it's possibly the only thing that Valve has addressed, and that is shader cache size. My shader cache size is still the same after the update 3.5. I'm not sure if anybody even noticed some kind of percentage of shader cache shrinkage, but I haven't noticed any kind of sizable difference in my shader cache, and that's mostly because along with the shader cache comes compat data, which is the second most dangerous thing for your Steam Deck storage. And I know it's going to be impossible to minimize compat data for the Steam Deck, but I haven't seen any change with my shader cache at all. Maybe a few gigabytes here and there, but it's really not much of a difference like they promised it would be. But maybe hopefully one day soon they'll properly address and fix the shader cache size along with the compat data, which takes up so much space. But if there has been some kind of fix to the shader cache, I barely even noticed. I mean, I had around 200 gigabytes of shader cache, and in the storage descriptions, it's showing that I only have 20 gigabytes of shader cache, but the same exact amount of space has been taken in my internal SSD, so I don't really see a difference there. Maybe they're just calling one side shader cache and another compat data, but they don't really display compat data from what I've seen. But again, I haven't really noticed any sort of change, unfortunately. And now number two is something that I'm sure and absolutely positive that Valve has not changed, and that is the audio connectivity on the Steam Deck. And for the longest time since the beginning of the Steam Deck's life, docking the Steam Deck and trying to get the audio to sync from the Steam Deck to a television has been nearly impossible, and every single time it's taken more than 10 minutes. Now, this is the prime reason why I think the ROG Ally is a lot more dockable than the Steam Deck. It's mainly because the ROG Ally auto detects audio to your television from the ROG Ally, and if it doesn't, it still plays the audio from your ROG Ally. But on the Steam Deck, not to compare them too much, instead of just playing the audio from your Steam Deck speakers like you think it would, it just mutes the audio on the Steam Deck and just outputs the audio nowhere. And apparently I have to go into the desktop and switch the audio output, but for some reason, with all of these insane amount of SteamOS updates, for some reason that fix in particular isn't working anymore. And so going into the audio settings in desktop mode, waiting for gaming mode to switch over to desktop, and then switching the audio around doesn't seem to work at all anymore. And honestly, this is the main reason why I started making this video. Because no matter how much time has passed and what I'm doing on the Steam Deck, it will continuously have audio issues while docked. And this is just unacceptable. I'm not sure why so many people defend the Steam Deck. There is no reason why the audio is still not working while docked on the Steam Deck, and why it's not auto detecting the audio to output to the television. The Steam Deck is assuming that I'm just going to use a monitor and not a television. And number 3, just like the audio connectivity issues, there is a lot of resolution auto detecting issues. In fact, there is none. For the most part, the Steam Deck will just output your TV's max resolution. So if you're in desktop mode, it's going to be incredibly difficult for you to see any of the icons while gaming through a 4K or 8K television. And so no matter what, every single time, it seems like after a few SteamOS updates, you're just going to have to reconfigure the resolution and the icon size almost every single time. It just doesn't remember any of that crap. And this is a problem that existed 400 days ago. It is inexcusable why resolution is still a problem with the Steam Deck when I haven't even switched my TV not once. I've had the same TV for 4 years. And of course, instead of just adding some kind of resolution auto detection to the Steam Deck, they just let you do it yourself every single time. And this is a real hassle if you're just primarily using desktop mode. And I've had issues where it not only didn't detect the resolution on my TV and monitor, but it actually didn't detect anything coming from the Steam Deck itself. So yes, there has to be some kind of AI auto detection, some kind of software that Linux uses in order to prevent the Steam Deck from having these resolution issues. But at this point, I pretty much have no hope for them fixing this issue. I mean, the new Steam Deck has an OLED screen. That's great and all, but it doesn't fix any of the underlying problems and the reason why I moved on from the Steam Deck. And number 4 isn't quite resolution detection. It is more the screen auto detection. Almost every time I connect the Steam Deck after some couple SteamOS updates, for some reason, my monitor and TV always come up as an extended display. And so I have to walk over to the Steam Deck after switching from gaming mode to desktop mode, and I have to use the little trackpad in order to go into display settings and then switch over from extended display, unchecking the primary on Steam Deck's display and checking the primary on my extended display as the primary display instead, and then of course switching over the resolution after I've switched all of these settings. And I have to do this pretty much after almost every single SteamOS update, and there are a shit ton of SteamOS updates. It's just extremely annoying when I just simply want to go into desktop mode, and then all of a sudden you see that big obnoxious Steam Deck logo on the screen with the blue screen door effect wallpaper, and that's when you know you're not going to have a great time docking the Steam Deck today. And yeah, that issue has been plaguing Steam Deck since day 0, and I'm just tired of it, honestly. It's been more than a year and a half. Why can't we just fix this issue? And number 6 is just simply switching from desktop mode to gaming mode. For the most part, the speed between switching from desktop to gaming mode is acceptable, but there are a few times when my Steam Deck just goes into like this sort of trance when it says updating software, and it literally takes 2 minutes just because I went from gaming mode to desktop mode. And so every once in a while, you'll have downloading an update for SteamOS. And I'm just wondering, how are there that many freaking updates for this system? And so yet again, after transferring from desktop mode to gaming mode, I have to wait 2 minutes or so. And sometimes that little update screen just doesn't move for a while. So you just have to be sitting there left guessing if it's actually going to move in this century. And I know PC gaming is complicated and sometimes startups take a little longer than expected, but I haven't had any of these type of issues with the ROG Ally in any extent in at least its first 6 months. I may as well just go into desktop mode and use big picture because I'm going to have to go into desktop mode anyway to switch the audio almost every single time I dock the system, and I'm going to have resolution issues, so I'm going to go to desktop mode anyway. It just seems like more and more since day 0, the system has been justifying me to not stay in gaming mode and to go to desktop mode instead. And I just feel like that's extremely counterintuitive and also goes against the purpose of the Steam Deck to begin with. And number 7 is just the docked experience altogether. Synonymously with all the parts I recently mentioned, switching from desktop mode to gaming mode, going to the audio options, everything altogether equals the docked experience for the Steam Deck. The docking experience for the Steam Deck needs to improve by a lot, and it's been a year and a half. It just seems like besides getting new hardware for the Steam Deck, that's not the only fix that most of us need. Most of us have the original Steam Deck that has the inferior hardware inside. We need just a better docking experience with the original Steam Deck, and that's everything. And I heard there's some kind of USB connectivity issues going on that they just fixed. I hope that fixes it, but that's going to be on the list as number 7. Just the docking gaming experience altogether. And it's pretty easy to guess what the docking experience is. But most of these things on the list could be any of the mix of docked and handheld. So that's why I decided to mention just docking specifically for this place on the list. And number 8, it has to be the OG Steam Deck's gaming mode screenshot and menu lag. I know a lot of times in the SteamOS updates, Valve has stated that they fixed the menu's lag with just viewing your games going into your library and especially viewing your screenshots. This is still a major problem on my Steam Deck at least. I take like 15,000 screenshots altogether and I can't view not 1/20th of them. I have some major issues just going into the screenshots to the point that everything is displaying as an empty image. There's just so many issues with the screenshots, such as lagging, and Valve has pointed out that they fixed a lot of these issues, but it hasn't been fixed. And there's an option to view your screenshots and switch through them while in full screen while viewing your screenshots. And it just doesn't work for more than 10 of the screenshots. So I'm just going through them, looking at my screenshots, reliving memories, and all of a sudden, the option to sift through the screenshots left and right just disappears after viewing about 10 of them. Valve, for the most part, just needs to fix the screenshot viewing, but there is a good amount of lag when it comes to just viewing the main menu, especially while gaming. If I try to pull up the menu, it just takes like 5 seconds to pull up. And this shouldn't be happening with a device that is called the Steam Deck. The Steam platform should be performing in its ultimate state. It should be at its best while on the Steam Deck. And honestly, it's pretty similar to just big picture mode on a generic laptop at certain points, and especially while viewing the screenshots. It's pretty damn similar while viewing the screenshots with a generic gaming laptop and the Steam Deck. And for the most part, it is better while viewing on a more powerful PC. And number 9 has got to be the most infamous issue I have ever had on the Steam Deck, and that is the plugins compatibility. Every once in a while, SteamOS updates, and all of a sudden, your plugin just doesn't work. So you have to go into plugin updates, got to do the rigmarole over and over and over again. After so many updates, there have been 20 updates that I've missed in the last 2 months alone. And that just deters me away from playing my Steam Deck because I 50% love my Steam Deck just for the plugins. So if I were to continuously play my Steam Deck and experience those SteamOS updates and then have to update it again and again along with the plugins, or else they just won't be compatible, honestly, it's not even a hypothetical at this point. I actually just don't play it, mostly because my most beloved feature on the platform always gets disrupted after every SteamOS update. And I know this is an issue that most likely will never go away because plugins is technically modding to the system. But there has to be some kind of official plugin compatibility that can go through Valve, or they can work with modders in order to make it a lot more stable. Since I could remember, there has been a plugin error message showing up at the bottom right every single time I turn on my Steam Deck from sleep mode. And that's another thing that just reminds me that this system and platform will possibly never be completely stable, even though it's just the same platform as a year and a half ago. It seems like it's just riddled with the same issues since day zero, especially the plugins. And it's just something that I wish they would fix, but it seems like instead, Valve seems to be implementing some of those plugin ideas to their main SteamOS, like Music Player, which I hate, and the saturation and vibrance options that they just added to the latest SteamOS 3.5. But instead of every single plugin being officially compatible, it just seems like Steam is going to take the idea and implement it officially into their SteamOS. And that just leads me to believe that there will be some plugins that will never get official support on SteamOS, especially some of my favorites favorites, like a plugin that recently became incompatible after a SteamOS update, which is the artwork selection. And that's something, honestly, that I get Valve can't officially support because it has images that are owned by different companies, and the only way we can get it is from the internet and using it for our personal SteamOS. But that's something that I know isn't going to get official support on the Steam Deck because it's just impossible. But I wish the plugin compatibility would just work a lot better, especially after every SteamOS update. I know it's a lot to ask for, but this has been the biggest issue for me on the Steam Deck and has just led me to lose all hope, especially after losing 4,570 games and artwork on the system. And it is 1,000% because of the compatibility with some of the latest SteamOS updates. All that work for a year and a half was lost, and that is the main reason why I just lost every kind of hope in personal computer compatibility with artwork and games and icons. I just don't think a PC becoming a console will ever happen. I have literally tried thousands of times, 4,000 times to be exact, and I did it all over and over again for each game. So that means that 4,000 was actually me doing 12,000 things, and it was all lost. And that literally broke my spirit when that happened. And I know there's some people out there that go through a lot of stuff with SteamOS, but after that happened and all of that work was just not saved at all because of Steam compatibility and plugin compatibility issues, I think it's safe to say that I completely lost hope in plugin compatibility ever working properly or like you supposedly want it to. Sure, you can dabble in it, you can tinker in it, but actually getting into some kind of new operating system is just not recommended, especially by me. You should not be putting your time into the Steam Deck's operating system because one day it will break for one reason or another, and it'll break for something you did over and over countless times, because now a new operating system update came out that says what you're doing doesn't make any sense, so it all has to go. And you can just imagine how much my heart dropped just into the pits of the darkest points of my stomach when I saw that all of my non-Steam games, i.e. my emulated games, were all gone. And the last thing, surprisingly, is a little more annoying than number 9. Number 10 has got to be the controller connectivity with the original Steam Deck. And I know this is mostly because the Steam Deck's Bluetooth is just not good, and the OLED Steam Deck's Bluetooth adapter is the most updated and advanced Bluetooth adapter out there. Yes, I know that, but this mainly has to do with the Steam platform in general. While playing certain titles, Steam for some reason displays an exclamation point next to each controller instead of a number. And this has happened with official titles, quacked titles, third-party, free-to-play, anything you can name. It has happened with that, especially while docking, or just while in tabletop mode, while just playing with an external controller. And when the exclamation points are over the controller, it mostly takes away just any ability to switch your controller order, making the docked, tabletop, and just multiplayer experience so much less convenient. And this problem has been there since the very beginning, and instead of going away, it just seems to move around from game to game. I remember it wasn't working on Visage at some point because I updated to a specific SteamOS update, and then it wasn't working in Days Gone, and one day it wasn't working with Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, just countless titles, and I just thought it would go away by now. It's been a year and a half, and still, this issue is present. And it is not only in the Steam Deck, this is a Steam platform problem. I've experienced this on the ROG Ally, on my laptop, and on the Steam Deck. And I've been going on and on about this, but honestly, these are the last issues that I'm willing to address for the Steam Deck, and the main reasons why I just don't play Steam Deck anymore, or not nearly as much as I used to. Nowhere near as much as I used to, because it deleted everything I loved, it takes away plugins, which is pretty much almost everything I like about the Steam Deck, and there are just so many docking issues, and it's so underpowered at some point that the SteamOS's menu just can't even work. It's like you're just stuck. And I get it's because the Steam Deck just doesn't have enough power to support all of these software add-ons. And Valve just keeps adding on more and more features, just one after another, as if the RAM is infinite. There is only a specific amount of RAM in the Steam Deck. Valve needs to either just make their main features work, or don't add any other new features at all. There are just too many features on this device, to the point that it makes new features that are slightly unbalanced and breakable, And it also makes the older features unbalanced and breakable. And that's something that has been happening since the very beginning. And God forbid you go to a preview update and then just everything is broken. Even the act of downdating and updating your system. And for right now, the Steam Deck just isn't fitting those requirements to be my main handheld PC. I love the trackpad, but I am not an RTS fan. I saw Command & Conquer when I was 9 and I thought it looked stupid. I know it's not stupid, but to play a game and then to not really play it is stupid to me. So having a trackpad is sort of meaningless unless I'm going through desktop mode or if I need to switch over the audio for the 16,000th time, probably literally. But yeah, guys, that's it for my list. And I've told you everything I need to about the Steam Deck. But let me know if you fell out of love with the Steam Deck. If you loved it at some point and you just don't anymore. If it's let you down like it let me down. Or if you still love it and you're one of those people that just play it mainly handheld so you don't see any of these issues. But have you had docking issues like I did? Just let me know whatever you think about the Steam Deck in the comments below. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a good one. Later.